Good morning, all of you.
Morning, Miss.
How are you all? Okay, answer your attendance. Afla, Ajmina, Amaya,
Present, ma'am.
Atulya,
Present, ma'am.
Rishya. Rishya is not there. Jyotish, Karthik,
Present, Miss.
Kavya,
Present, Miss.
Nachiket, Neeraj, Rangit, Vaishna,
Yes, ma'am. Present.
Vaishna is there. Vaishnav,
Present, Miss.
okay. Anjali and Shruti,
Present, Miss.
okay. Neeraj has come. No. Nachiket, Jyotish, Drishya, Afla. Afla has joined.
Present, Miss.
Okay. Okay, we will start today's class. Before that, I have sent you your assignment as well as the unit test for module 2 in Linways. I hope you have received it. Did anybody see that yesterday? Yes or no? Did anyone see the assignment and the unit test? What unit test questions? What I have forwarded? Shruti?
Miss, continue.
Okay, sure. So before the due date, you have to submit it and take your own time and answer it clearly. Okay. Now series exams will be soon. It will be there. So prepare for that also. Now today we will be just dealing with your third module, that is nothing but the layer 3 of internet model called the network layer. So far, we were discussing about in the first module, you have just got a brief idea of what are the different layers in the OSI model as well as the internet model or the TCP/IP model. And after that, you have just gone with the layer 1 and 2 of the internet model, that is the physical layer as well as the data link layer. Now, today you will be learning with the third layer of the internet model, that is nothing but the network layer. Okay. Now, I have just given a brief introduction. What are the functions of network layer when we were dealing with the first module? Now, the main important responsibility of network layer is to carry packet from one computer to another computer. I have told what is the data unit in a network layer called. In data link layer, you will be calling it as frame. And in network layer, the data unit, you will be calling it as what? What you will be calling the data unit in the network layer? Can anybody answer? Packet. Okay, so the data unit in network layer is called it as a packet. So network layer is responsible for carrying packet from one computer to another computer. Or you can tell that it is responsible for transferring the packet from one host network to the destination network. Okay. Now, when I was dealing with the first module, I have told whenever you are considering any layer, it provides services to the layer. If I'm considering a particular layer, what it will be doing? It will be providing services to the layer above it, and it make use of the service of the layer below it. Whenever you are considering any layer, a layer, it make use of the service of the layer that is below it, and it provides services to the layer that is above it. Okay, so as far as network layer is concerned, it provides services to the layer on top of it. Now, which is the layer on top of the network layer? which is the layer that is on top of the network layer. Neeraj is there? Neeraj?
Yes, Miss.
Yeah. Which is the layer that is above the network layer?
അറിയില്ല മിസ്.
Which are the 7 layers of the internet model, or OSI model? Start telling from layer 7. Which are the layers in the OSI model?
Transport layer.
That is transport layer. You just tell what are the 7 layers in an OSI model. So without knowing those layers, it is not, I don't think further you can move it. Which are the 7 layers, Neeraj? Answer it. Which is the layer 7 in an OSI?
Application, presentation.
Yeah, application, presentation, then
Transport network session layer.
session layer will come after presentation layer. Okay, presentation, session,
Data link layer.
transport layer, network layer, data link layer, and physical layer. Then why did you tell you don't know which is the layer that is above the network layer?
Miss, പെട്ടെന്ന് അതിന്റെ മേലുള്ള ലെയർ ഏതാന്ന്?
You should remember at any cost, you have to remember which are the 7 layers in the OSI model as well as the combination of layers in the TCP/IP model. So because the whole module is dealing with that layers. Okay, so without knowing the layer, it is not proper. How will you understand the concepts of each one? Okay, so what I was telling is the network layer, it provides services to the transport layer, and it make use of the service of the layer that is below it. Now, which is the layer that is below the network layer? That is nothing but the data link layer. Okay, so it make use of the service of the data link layer. Now, what is the main service it receives from the data link layer? It is nothing but the delivery of data. That is node to node delivery. So data link layer, when I was dealing with data link layer, I have told data link layer is responsible for node to node delivery. Okay, so suppose if you are having n nodes between your source host as well as your destination host, how many node to node deliveries are possible there? You will be having n node to node deliveries. Okay, so if you want, so in order to achieve the host to host delivery, it is not always compulsory that the hosts belong to the same physical network. It may be spread across the world, or it may be spread across several physical networks. So network layer's function is is to transfer the data from the host computer to the source host to the destination host. So when you are coming across your source host and the destination host, you will be going through many nodes. And they will be separated by several physical networks. So the packet has to transfer from several nodes in order to reach the destination. Okay, so data link layer, when I was told, it is responsible for carrying data through a physical network only, but you might be crossing several physical networks. Okay, understanding the concept. So network layer, your source host will be there, your destination host will be there. It is not compulsory that the source and the destination belong to the same network. It may be spread across several physical networks. So a packet has to go from the one physical network to, and it has to cross through several physical networks. And that is the responsibility of network layer. So network layer take care of the packet or the delivery of the packet from the source host to the destination host. Right? This is what, as an analogy, what I told. If you are sending a letter, it may be passing through several cities or several towns. So from city to city, it is a responsibility of data link layer. But to the two address. If I'm sending a letter from Kannur to Alappuzha, from Kannur to another town, that is the responsibility of data link layer. But from Kannur to Aleppi, that is the responsibility of the network layer. Okay, so from the source host to the destination host. Understood what is the difference between in function of a data link layer and a network layer? Yes or no?
Yes,
Okay.
Miss.
So once again, I'll tell network layer, its main function is the transferring of packet or carrying the packet from one computer to another computer, or from the host to host delivery, or from source host to the destination host. Okay. So as I told, the host, the two hosts, that is the source host and the destination host, it is separated by several physical networks. Okay. Now, what are the specific duties of the network layer? That you can see in the second slide. So the important duties, this is what the position of the network layer. You can see in the slide, the network layer is placed in between the transport layer and the data link layer. Now you have got several important duties or the responsibilities of network layer. So one type of duty or the responsibility is inter-networking. The second one is packetizing, addressing, routing, fragmenting. So these are the some important duties of the network layer. They are responsible in doing all these things. Okay. Now in your syllabus, you have to study the two important functions. One is addressing, the other one is routing. Okay. Now, what is the importance of addressing? What is the importance of routing? That is the thing that you are going to see in this module. Now, coming to addressing. Now, if you are considering, if I want to send a letter to my friend, what should be written in your postcard or in your letter cover? You have to write the address, right? So without writing the address, the letter is useless. So the same type. So regarding the computer networks are considered, without an address, it is useless. So if a packet is transmitted or sent from the source host to the destination host, as I told earlier, it may pass through several LANs or several WANs in order to reach the destination host. So you want to identify each device on the internet. Okay, as another example, you all might be having a landline connection in your home. Okay, now is the telephone number same for all the people? No, right? So each subscriber is having a unique telephone number that specifies the country code or the area code. The same thing is happening in networking side also. So the address, whatever you are using, I mean, it is used in the network layer, it must be unique. So each address defines only one and only one connection on the internet. So if two devices, if they are connected to the internet, they can never have the same address. As you all know, we are writing a letter, the letter, it is to a particular person. The address is only to that person. You don't have the same address to every person's, right? So we need the addressing as well as the routing mechanism if you want to deliver a packet from the source host to the destination host. Okay, and there comes the importance of network layer. So I have told what is the importance of addressing. So a packet has to transfer or transmit through several LANs or WANs to reach the destination host. So if you want to identify each device in the internet, you need an addressing mechanism. Okay, so a global addressing scheme is required to identify each device on the internet. Okay, and that function is performed by the network layer. Right? Understood what is the importance of addressing? Now, coming to, so I told if you want to identify this each device on the internet, you need a global addressing scheme. And that is called it as the logical address or IP address or the internet address. So if you want to identify each device that is connected to the internet, you need an address. And that is called it as the IP address or the internet address or the logical address. Okay, understanding? And that IP address, it is 32 bits long. You have two versions for that. One is IPv4 and V6. V4 version 4 and V6 is the advanced version. That is nothing but V6. That later you will be studying it. So this IPv4 addresses are simply called IP address. So those IP address are 32 bits long. Okay, so 32 bits binary address. And the definition of this IP address, it is a 32-bit address that uniquely and universally defines the connection of a device to the internet. It can be a computer or it can be a router. Okay, so the meaning, you have to understand the two terms here. The one is unique and universally defined. Now, as far as an IP address is considered, what is the meaning of unique? Unique means, the meaning is each address defines only one and only one connection to the internet. That is the meaning of unique. Unique means each address, it defines only one and only one connection. Right? Now, what is the meaning of universal? Universal means the addressing system must be accepted by any host that is connected to the internet. Whatever addressing mechanism or system is used, that should be accepted by all the devices which is connected to the internet. So IP address is a 32-bit address that is unique as well as universal, and also it defines the connection of a device to the internet. Understood? What is the importance of IP address? If you want to identify the devices on the network, you need an address, and that address in the network layer, you can call it as the IP address or the internet address. The first version of the IP address is IPv4. It is a 32-bit address which is unique and universal. Okay, now if you have 32-bit address, now what is the address space? The address space is nothing but the total number of addresses. The total number of addresses, suppose if a protocol uses n bits to define an address, now the total number of addresses, you can find it out at 2 power n. So if this is 32 bits, the total number of addresses will be 2 power 32. That is approximately 4 billion something. Okay, that is the value is written on the slide. Okay, so now, so I told IP address or IPv4, it is simply called IP address. It is a 32-bit address and the address space will be 2 power 32. That means that many addresses can be accommodated. Now, if you want to have little more flexibility, that if I'm making use of 128-bit of addresses, now that gives the importance is you want to have little more flexibility in the address location. And that gave rise to the new version, that is IPv6, in IP address version 6 addresses that you will be studying in tomorrow's class. Okay, so understood what is the importance of, what are the functions of network layer? The main important functions is addressing and routing. So addressing concept we are looking into. So address, I have told what is the importance of addressing. You want to identify the devices on the internet. So you require an address. So that address, you can call it as an IP address or IPv4, the version 4, and the total number of bits that is used is 32 bits, and the total number of addresses possible is 2 power 32. Understood this much? Yes or no?
Yes. Yes, miss.
Yeah, okay. Now, this IPv4 addresses, in two ways you can denote it. One is in binary notation. The other one is in the dotted decimal notation. So two ways you can notate it. One is binary notation. The other one is the dotted decimal notation. So in binary, this IP address is displayed as 32 bits. I have told it is 32 bits, so it will be displayed it as 32 bits. So you will be grouping it, you will be grouping each octet, and that will form 1 byte. Okay, so that you can see in the slide. Now what is the importance of dotted decimal notation? See, if 32 bits means how long it will be. If it is 128 bits, how long it will be. Okay, so you won't be able to remember what is the address of each and every device. So in order to simplify it, or in order to make it more compact and easier to read, you are making use of this decimal notation. So what you will do is the corresponding decimal number, you will be finding it out. And if you want to separate each bytes, you will be making use of a dot in the middle. So the bits, whatever is shown on the slide, the corresponding decimal notation will be 128.11.3.31. That later I will tell how that 128 and all will come. I mean, what is the meaning of that and all. Okay, now you just understand the IP address can be denoted in two ways. One is binary as well as in dotted decimal notation. And we are making use of this dotted decimal notation because it is more compact and you can easily read it. Okay, and you are separating the bytes with a dot. Okay, now there is a question for you. Change the following IPv4 addresses from binary notation to dotted decimal notation. You can just take it down. Now, what is the corresponding decimal notation of the first question? Disha is there. Jyotish, you can just find it out. What is the address? I mean, corresponding decimal notation. Jyotish is there. No. Nachiket?
Yes, miss.
Yes, you can tell the answer for that. Second question, Vaishna has to answer. Yeah, find out the decimal notation. Yes, what is the answer for the first question? You know, no? Binary to decimal conversion? Give the powers of 2, 2 power 0, 2 power 1, etc. Multiply it and give me the answer. Vaishna, you have to do the second one and give me the answer. How will you find out the first byte? It is 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, and 128. So 128 plus 1 will be 129.
129.
Yeah, 129.
11.
Dot.
Dot
You have
1.
to put a dot. Dot.
Dot
11. Dot 11. Dot. Which are the bits that have the value 1? Find it out. Yes. Vaishna, what is the first byte value in decimal? Vaishna is there. Vaishna is available, but she's not answering. Dishya, Jyotish, Nachiket is there. Vaishna is there?
Mister.
Yeah, tell me the answer fast. There's no time. The second question, what is the decimal equivalent? First byte you tell. You know, you don't need to calculate the whole thing. The first byte value you just tell. Anybody got the answer other than Vaishna? What is the answer?
Sir, 193.8.
193, yeah. So the answer for the first one is 129.11.11.239, and the second one is 193.131.27.255.
3-1.
Okay. So if you have not got, you just try it after the class when you are free. Okay. So that is just how you are to find it out. If the binary equivalent is given, how you will find it out, the dotted decimal notation. Now this is a homework for you. You have to just answer. You have the decimal notation. You have to find it out. What is the binary notation? So decimal to binary conversion. How will you be doing it? Decimal to binary conversion? You have to just go on dividing it by 2 and take the remainder. Okay. Now take the question as 111.56.45.78. Take it down. That is left as a homework for you. Tomorrow we will discuss it. So question is 111.56.45.78. And second question is 221.34.7.82. 221.34.7.82. Okay, so find it out and tell me the answer. Now the third question for you. Find the error, if any, in the following IPv4 addresses. The solution also is given. So I'll just go on with that. What is the question meaning? So if you have to find it out if you have any error in the following question. When you are seeing the first question, it is 111.56.045.78. Now, what is the error in that? What is the error in the first byte? I mean, the first question. So you look on to the third byte. You don't have to be a leading 0 there. So that is the error in the first question. So it is written 045. There is no requirement of that 0 there. Okay. Now the second question is 221.34.7.8.20. How many bytes are there? How many bytes you can notice?
5.
5. Is 5 bytes is there in an IPv4 address?
No.
No, totally 32 bits only, so 4 bytes. So the extra 1 byte is there, so it cannot be more than 4 numbers. So that is the error in that. Now the third question, it is 75.45.301.114. Now what is the error in that question? See, 301. Now what is the maximum value? 2 power 32. So it varies from 0 to 255. 256 is the total number of values. So it is varying from 0 to 255. So 301 is beyond that. So that is the error. Okay. Now the last one. There a combination of binary and decimal is given, that is not allowed. A mixture of binary notation as well as the dotted decimal notation is given, that is not allowed. So that is the error there. Okay, so this type of questions may be asked, find out what is the error in the following addresses and all. Okay, so I was telling about the addressing scheme, the IPv4 addresses. It is 32-bit long and the total number of addresses possible is 2 power 32. Okay, now we will move on to a concept called classful addressing. The meaning is IP addresses, they use the concept of classes. So that architecture is called it as classful addressing. So in the beginning, classful addressing was introduced, but after in 1990s, you have gone to a new architecture that is called it as classless addressing. So you have to study both the things. One is classful addressing, what is the meaning of that, and the other one is classless addressing. Okay, now in classful addressing, I have told about the address space or the total number of addresses, and that is being divided into 5 classes. You have got 5 classes of address. One is class A, class B, class C, class D, and E. Okay, so whatever is address space, I have told 2 power 32, that much value. So each class occupies some part of the whole address space. So class A, maybe you will be having only a few address. Class B, you have got few. You class C like that. So the address space, whatever address, the whole address space you have, each class occupies some part of that. Okay, now you can easily identify to which class an address belongs based on the slides that is shown. So class A address, you can see in the slides. See, finding the classes in binary and dotted decimal notation. I have told you can represent it in 2 ways. One is binary and the other one is dotted decimal form. So if the binary value is given, how will you identify the class of each address? How will you identify if decimal equivalent is given? So class A, if you want to identify to which class it belongs, and if it belongs to it is 0. So class A is, you can identify if the first bit of the first byte is 0. Okay, now it is class B if the first 2 bits of the first byte, that is if it is 1 0, it starts with 1 0, you can identify it as class B address. I'm telling about the binary notation now. Now class C, it is 110, class D, it is 1110, and class E, it is 4 ones. So if your address is having some binary form, and if you want to identify those addresses to which class it belongs, you can easily identify based on this. So class A means it starts with 0, B means 10, C means 110, like that. Now, correspondingly, if some decimal notation is given for you, how will you identify it, to which class it belongs? So if it varies from 0 to 127, then that is, I'm telling about the first byte. If it varies from 0 to 127, it belongs to class A address. Now it varies from 128 to 191, it is class B. 192 to 223, it is class C. 224 to 239, it is class D, and 240 to 255, it is class E. So this is how you have to identify to which class each address belongs. Now usually this class A address, it is designed for large organizations. Class A addresses are designed for large organization. In the meaning is you will have large number of hosts as well as routers. And if you want to identify, I mean, if the addressing used is the class A address. Okay, now class B addresses are usually designed for mid-size organization. That is all of about 10 to thousands of host or routers. If it is attached, you will be making use of class B address. Now class C, it is for small organization. A small group of hosts or routers, if they want to identify it, and you will be making use of this class C addresses. Okay, so I have told the internet address or the IP address, it is used the concept of classes. You can have 5 classes, A, B, C, D, and E. Now, how will you identify to which class each address belongs is based on the table. Okay, or based on the binary notation. It is varying from total bits, it is varying from 0 to 255. So each section, each class occupies some part of the address space, that is as shown in the table. Okay, now there is a question for you. Find out the class of each address. Now, who will be answering the first question? Find the class of each address. Vaishna, you can tell the first question. To which class it belongs? You have got a binary notation value. To which class it belongs actually? Make it fast. It is 9-5.
So,
Vaishna is not there.
Vaishnava.
Mister.
Who is talking instead of Vaishnava? No, Vaishna. No. Okay, Vaishna. Vaishna K. Find the class of each address. Look on to the first question and answer to which class it belongs. How will you identify? Vaishna, how will you identify to which class the address belongs? Phone vechittu poyekku anno. Okay, Afla, you can answer. What is the class of the first address given?
Class C.
Class A. Because the first bit, it starts with 0. So you can easily identify it is class A address. Now, second question, Ajmina.
Class C.
Class C. Because the 3 bits, you can just, it starts with 110. So it is, you can easily identify it as class C address. Now, third one, 14.23.12.8. It is in decimal notation. So 14. So you should identify each class. Class A means it is varying from 0 to 127. So 14 will come under that. So to which class it belongs?
D.
Class A.
Class A. Okay. Now the last one, 252.5.15.111. 252. So that means it is towards the end. 0 to 255 it is varying. So I have told it is for class E, it is varying from 240 to 255. So here the first decimal value is 252. So it belongs to which class? E.
Class
So it
E.
belongs to class E. Okay. So like this type of questions also maybe come for the exams. You have to find out the class of each address. Okay. Right? So I will be just summarizing today's class. I have just told what is the important function of network layer. Network layer is the third layer of the internet model. It is responsible for delivering packet from your source host to the destination host. The source as well as the destination may spread across several physical networks. It is not compulsory that it belongs to a single network. It may be beyond, spread across the world. So if you want to identify each device in the network, you need an addressing scheme. So you will call it as IP address. Now this IP address is 32-bit long and the total number of addresses it can accommodate is 2 power 32. Okay, and also this IP address use the concept of classes. You can have 5 classes A, B, C, D, and E, and you have to identify to which class each address belongs depending upon the value. In the first bit, it starts with 0, it belongs to class A, or the corresponding decimal. 2 ways you can denote your addresses. One is binary notation, the other one is decimal notation, dotted decimal notation. Now, dotted decimal notation is more compact and easy to read because I have told if more number of bits are there, you won't be able to remember what is the corresponding IP address. So, in order for to make us read and to remember easily, you make use of the dotted decimal notation. right? And similarly, so the addresses to which class each address belongs, it is based upon the table what has been shown, that you have to remember to from where to where each class address is varying. And I have told class A address is usually meant for large organization, class B for mid-size, and class C for small organizations. Okay, so today's absentees are Drishya, Jyotish, and Anjali. Okay, so we will wind up today. The other staff has joined. Okay, thank you. Take down your assignment questions today itself and start writing. Okay.